day, Ruskin enjoys. Have tonight because it's time for Profit Review. Now, last week we discussed the April 23, 2026 Rush Store, and that means today we're here to take a look at April 30. So sit back and relax, I'm going to start yapping. So, what was my initial reaction when I first saw this Rush Store? This very big Rush Store with a lot of interesting looking collection continuations. Well, let's just get straight to the point. That's a white AK-47 with transparency. That is a very cool looking collection continuation for Apotheosis of War, a very cool looking garage door. We have another anime sheet with a door. Like just those three, that's incredibly impressive. But then we have fish roadside gloves and boots. Green roadside gloves and boots. Is that a fully transparent barbecue? A barbecue? What? A barbecue? And HellCore hoodie and pants. Like, honestly, at first glance, I thought this was one of the best Rush stores we've had so far this year. So, okay, I was very positive. Like, I was more than positive. I was ecstatic. I was like, yeah, I can't help but assume a lot of these things are going to work out very nicely in the upcoming several weeks as we get closer and closer to the summer peaks. So, yeah. Do I have to explain myself anymore? All right, anyway, sorry. Immediately, the second I see that optimized AK-47, I'm like, you know what? Okay. So I'm fully well aware when times are good, people buy out the comics AK-47. They want to use it with their full whiteout set as they roam around in the snowy tundra, okay? This right here, this has transparency and it's basically all white. Yes, it's priced at $3.49, but in comparison to the comics AK-47, like, I could check right now, because back then, that comics AK-47 had just reached very close to $25, because that is the go-to white AK-47 that a lot of people always appreciate. Now, as you might notice, it has dropped off a fair bit as of recent, but back then, that was very high priced, and, well, it still is now. I immediately did some comparisons with this, and I was very impressed with what I saw here. But would it catch on? Would other people take note? And how much would it sell? Because Comics AK-47, even though it came out years ago, years before this, it did 35,000 subscribers. So, but it still worked out all right. That's the point. Okay, then fair enough. Apotheosis of War, I mean, I've been seeing some very cool looking skins. This is the third one. The bed immediately appreciates that. It's by command, spikes in price ever so nice, as did the armoured double door. But how many garage doors are we going to see this year? That is the one concern. Other than that, I have to respect a good-looking garage door usually retains its value quite nicely. I had to respect that. I'm sure a lot of people are going to greatly appreciate that. So, okay, well, let's see if that's enough to carry it. Earlier this year, we saw Hazma Sheepman Adore. That did over 40,000 subscribers, and at this specific time, Hazma was comfortably in the positive. I remembered. I saw what happened with Hazma. With its collection, at the time only consisting of 2 doors, including the Sheepman Adore, it still worked out perfectly fine. With the success we're seeing at this point in time with Popstar, what with all the sudden acceptances in a row, I had to sit there and say I'm looking at that positively as well. Surely it's not going to stop. Surely we're going to still keep seeing skins being accepted. Fish roadside gloves and boots, as I said, cheap green roadside gloves and boots. People are going to appreciate that. Even though we have seen other options, like I definitely recalled the Cell roadside gloves and whatnot. In comparison to Forest Raiders, oh my, it's significantly cheaper. It is quite glossy, it is quite shiny, but for a very nice, approachable budget option, because again, these are priced at 99 cents, they were looking good. They were looking good. And it's questionable if we ever do see more clothing and armour being accepted for the fish collection. These boots and gloves waited about 4.5 years to finally be accepted. It was a surprise, super late pick. Are we ever going to see the hoodie pants, the tier 3? But regardless, even then, by default, budget green sets would appreciate this. So, okay, cool. HellCore hoodie and pants, very nice to see. Quite a surprise. But are we actually going to go all the way? Are we actually going to get tier 3? Are we actually going to get tier 2? Are we actually going to get some boots and gloves? If that does happen, okay. I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to it. So does that make this a blackout alternative option for the year? I guess so. I know we also have Black Ops. We literally just talked about Black Ops, didn't we? But it wouldn't be the first time we've had like 2 options during the same year, so yeah, okay, fair enough. And this barbecue, I had to start like doing comparisons. I just like the fact that you can have it lit up. So of course the lid would be up, wouldn't it? But because it's transparent, you could use it like a barricade. You could use it like as if it's protection. So I tested it around. I played with it. Could that actually work out perfectly fine just with that gimmick? Yeah, wasn't fully sure. So anyway, of course, with every single Rust store that we see, I'm always questioning what potentially could be the best investments for the week. But I've already like talked about them. Immediately, I'm thinking Popstar Sheet and Door's going to be doing quite all right. It was noticeably not exactly selling as much compared to these 2 skins. So if I could just quickly go over to here and showcase this to you, yep. So we're a good many hours in. Many hours in. I'm sure you can see that reasonably well. It is HD. I do apologise if it's not super clear. But yes, these are obviously selling quite a fair bit more in comparison to you. And I was actually starting to question, all right, if you're not going to do like 40,000 subscribers, exactly like Hazma did, all the better for it to rise up in price if there's not that much of it to go around, especially with the momentum it has at this time. Because I was feeling confident we were going to see more Popstar skins being accepted. Like, it's 3 in a row so far at this point in time. If you're not going to sell that much, I might have to jump in and buy a decent amount of them. So yeah, I was very optimistic in regards to that sheet in the door. But looking at all the other skins, I would have had to have talked about the AK-47. The transparency ahead, I mean, I was doing comparisons with that as well, so hopping back over to here, I quite literally dedicated 3 whole minutes just to go and yap and yap and yap. Comics AK-47, $25. This right here, $20 cheaper, only $3.49. Like, it compared well. And even when you look at it right there, you can see that optimized AK-47 lines up quite nicely with the full whiteout. So I was giving it a lot of praise. I was giving it all the thumbs up I could. But would it actually catch on? See, that was the question. So, yeah, I was giving it quite a lot of glaze. But are we potentially going to have a June dip? In 2025, for some random reason, we saw a lot of skin prices go down. There's no good reason for it. Even to this day, I still don't know why that happened. Could it potentially sell a little bit too much, end up with far too much in the Steam market, and suffer? But then as we go through July and August, could it have a nice turnaround and eventually work out A-OK? Well, maybe. We'll see. So, all right, cool. I was looking at that with some optimism. I was thinking positively. So, okay, yeah. If you're going to glaze it, Hedge, you've got to jump in and grab some yourself as well. So, all right, cool. You're looking pretty sweet. Apotheosis of War Garage Door, you were selling a lot. But I needed to see more Apotheosis of War skins being accepted. The amount of garage doors we had accepted up to this point, it was pretty wacky. And again, I'll reiterate, it was becoming pretty obvious that we were on track to potentially reach an all-time high, like a record-breaking amount of garage doors being accepted in a single year. We will talk more about that in a bit, don't you worry. But just to remind everybody, the previous year had the record-breaking amount of 39 in a single year. So, okay, cool. I mean, I'm sure we'll still see some more Apotheosis of War skins. I'm sure people will appreciate it, right? But I also had to talk about HellCore. HellCore, it had kind of slowed down for a while. It wasn't getting that much attention. The weapons, the tools we saw, I mean, it was cool. You know, things were looking pretty sweet here. Transparent aim sights and the like. But there was a drought. There was quite a decent amount of time since the custom SMG. Was this just going to be a one-off? Or were we actually going to eventually see a full set being made and accepted? By default, I am sitting here and expecting that if we do see a sequel and whatnot, yeah, it's going to spike in price. Of course it would. The boots and the gloves, with them being so cheap, I was a little bit worried they'd probably sell a little bit too much. But at 99 cents each, with them being nice and affordable and approachable green boots and gloves, like, okay, maybe around the summer peaks, they only got by about 50 cents. 50% up. They'll still be good. They'll still be profitable. I'd give it a double thumbs up. So yeah, those were looking pretty sweet. But all the other skins, I just wasn't feeling it. The Jackhammer was the focused item of the month. Nuke Vibe appearing towards the end, like just after Popstar. I wasn't feeling very confident with it. Eye of Sahara was a pretty interesting looking design. It was another transparent like design for a bow skin. Been seeing quite a lot of this recently, haven't we? So the fact that I keep seeing this being made now, is it actually going to hold up? Is that even special anymore? Brutalist base box. It's another one of those base box designs. Cute, silly, but it is a gimmick. And I do recall the previous base boxes did not work out very nicely. So I wasn't feeling 100% confident. Training crossbow is fine. I just wasn't fully behind it. Like, training clothing and armor, thumbs up. Weapons and tools, quite questionable. So I wasn't really feeling it. Yeah, I wasn't really that optimistic. And then we had the Mecha Axe. For its style, it was quite nice. But I was noticing that salvaged axes were kind of dropping off. Yeah, it's the brand new skinnable, but it wasn't being appreciated. So, alright, cool. So, how's the first 24 hours of sales? With the first 24 hours of sales, I can confirm that the optimized AK-47 had just over 12,000 subscribers. It was the top-selling skin. It was appreciated. The garage store, well, quite a little bit, behind, with just over 10,300 subscribers. These certainly looked as if they are going to reach over 30,000 subscribers. But this sheet in the door, I was basically expecting it to just probably end up at around 25,000 subscribers. I initially thought all three were going to comfortably go over 30,000, but no. So, okay. First 24 hours of sales are always kind of helpful in figuring things out. That's nice. But, well, how much you can actually end up with? Because I did talk quite a lot of positives in regards to Popstar. That's going to be pretty interesting when we talk about the abnormal barders. Now, Barbecue, I thought you were interesting. I thought you were quite special. I doubt we're going to see another barbecue skin like this ever again. Well, I did see attempts. I would remind people of that. But, are you going to actually be, useful? Is it going to be an exploit to utilize you in a certain way? I wasn't really sure. But with 6,400 subscribers, you're quite all right. But to my surprise, the fish, roadside gloves and boots, the HellCore Clothing, they really didn't sell that much. You know what? I'm not going to be upset with that. Whatever comes out after it, if it does cause it to spike in price, well, the newer stuff better line up quite nicely with these skins, because if they don't, well, chances are these will end up in the positive for quite the foreseeable future, but the other skins might be a bit, and we will talk about that in a bit. So, okay, cool. Well, that was looking pretty sweet. That was looking pretty interesting. Let's now discuss the abnormal barders. So, on the night of the abnormals, I can confirm to you that we're looking at the optimized AK-47, the garage door there as well, and the Popstar sheet in the door. And well, 40 minutes to go until we do the abnormal barders. The AK-47 clearly is going to go over 30,000 subscribers. Yes. But is the demand actually going to be there? Am I confident enough to jump in, grab some, and expect things are going to work out A-OK in the future? We'll talk about that in a second, but garage door, it had fallen short. It wasn't going to reach 30,000 subscribers. It had slowed down. So, okay, we'll see how that goes. But the Popstar sheet in the door, barely over 20,000 subscribers. That undersold. That again, I must reiterate. Hazma sheet in the door did 40,000 plus subscribers, and it was comfortably above $4. That right there, priced at $3, it has about half as much. And with what I'm seeing being posted on the workshop, with the success of the acceptances, I genuinely thought that was in a very, very interesting prime position. So, okay, cool. Barbecue of over 14,000 subscribers, you're not looking too bad. Fish roadside gloves and boots, 12,200 for the gloves, 10,800 for the boots. That's fine. But the HellCore hoodie and pants, wow, you really didn't sell that much. That only had around 11,700, 11,600 subscribers. It really just wasn't that much. So, okay, I mean, at $2 a piece there for the hoodie and pants, are people intimidated or worried or questioning if it's even going to lead to a collection? I don't know. But I had to sit there and acknowledge that those sales really weren't that wacky. They weren't really that high. So, all right, cool. Let's now discuss the prices. At $3.49, I suggested $2.30 to $2.80 for the optimized AK-47. I was confident. I thought the sales were pretty justified. I thought it lined up perfectly with the full whiteout set. I was going to go in strong. With the Apotheosis of War Garage Door, though, with that priced at $3, something was smelling a little bit weird. I was kind of getting a bit of a whiff of a lack of confidence. I was kind of questioning that. I wasn't really sure if that was going to actually hold up. We have kind of seen like sporadic acceptances for Apotheosis of War, so I definitely started questioning things. But I just decided, you know what? I'm only going to offer between $1.80 to $2.30 for that garage door, the $3 garage door. Now, with Popstar Sheepman door, that also priced at $3. I said $2 to $2.50. I was going in strong. I was going for it. With the barbecue, with that priced at $3, I wasn't sure the transparency gimmick was going to help it hold up and whatnot, so I only went about halfway, $1 to $1.50. With the Mecha Axe, I think I just decided to do 60 cents to 80 cents. Yes, I did. Yeah, I thought I didn't write it down. Whoops. I only suggested 60 cents to 80 cents. I wasn't feeling very confident with the salvaged axe. Now, regards to the HellCore hoodie and pants, $2 a piece. The sales weren't exactly ridiculous. I thought, you know what? I do feel confident that we're going to see a sequel. Tier 3 was on the workshop. I suggested $1 to $1.50. I was going to go in fairly strong. With the Brutalist base box, it had just about 9,500 subscribers. It was the lowest selling base box we had seen, but I didn't trust base boxes. I saw their prices drop off pretty badly in the past with the previous skins. I went with 80 cents to $1.20 for a $2.49 small box. With the Eye of the Sahara hunting bow, $2.49. It has transparency, but it had hardly any sales. Clearly, people didn't really care for it. I only went with $1 to $1.50. With the Nuke Vibe jackhammer, with that priced at $2.49, it had like next to no sales as well. Nuke Vibe's a funny one. It's not very in demand, is it? No. So I kind of thought, you know what, with the sheer lack of sales, I mean, it probably isn't going to crash and burn. I went with $1 to $1.50. And with the remaining skins, the skins that weren't abnormal, which does include the fish roadside gloves and boots, with both of the boots and gloves priced at 99 cents, I thought, you know what, those sales aren't ridiculous. People will be looking for nice budget options for green camouflage, that is. I suggested 80 cents and 90 cents for both of them. And in regards to the training crossbow, just priced at $2. I didn't trust it. Crossbows, they don't always work out stupendously and amazingly, and that crossbow was just kind of there. So I just said 70 cents to $1. Alright then, well, there were some very interesting skins. We did the barders. Did I actually go ahead and buy any of the skins that you see here? Well, I can't confirm to you. I actually went ahead and I bought 50 Popstar Sheepman doors. I bought 50 optimized AK-47s. I bought 50 Fish Roadside gloves, 50 HellCore hoodie and pants, and I bought 30 Apotheosis Of War garage doors. I looked at the garage door and I thought, you know what? I'll still jump in and grab a few, you know. I thought later down the line, maybe at some point around July and August, more likely post-Christmas 2027, I would be surprised if we do see more Apotheosis Of War skins being accepted. I certainly hope people like it. I certainly hope people want to try and grab all of it. I thought the garage door had a pretty decent future ahead of it, eventually. So I thought, go on then, I'll just go grab 30 just in case. Did you happen to buy any of the skins? Let's now go through all of them. The optimized AK-47, I have seen attempts for a sequel. I have seen attempts for collection continuations. It hasn't happened, and it has suffered quite a fair bit. Now, in regards to what's happened here, I'm not too surprised. It sold a lot. It reached up to 31,500 subscribers. Quite a fair bit less in comparison to the Comics AK-47. But Comics AK-47 still has that notoriety. It's still the go-to skin. How many people are even aware that this exists? So let's just quickly get the point across. It still has tons of support. I suggested, what, $2.30 to $2.80? Yep. Well, I ended up picking up a bunch of these with a buy order. Of course, I also bought 50 of them as well. I'm honestly not that concerned in regards to what we're seeing here. Yeah, there's a 15 there, there's a 15 there, there's a 17 there and whatnot. But right now, it's literally the very end of June. We still haven't entered July and August. Now, if you aren't fully aware, July and August, during these months, we tend to see a lot of kids around the world out of school, not worrying about like classwork or homework and whatnot. No, they're enjoying their summer. Summer holidays, summer vacation, cool. They're playing Rust. They're not going outside. They're playing Rust a lot. There's more people playing. There's more demand for skins. Prices go up. Great time to sell. I'm very much under the impression that this will eventually recover and this will become a very in-demand skin. Chances are it might have to wait a little bit longer. Maybe it waits until post-Christmas. But eventually, I'm confident that will end up going back up in the positive and it will be appreciated. Like, another good example of a white AK-47, you've got, like, Olympus, you've got Thunder Gold. Both of them have worked out quite all right. There's Olympus right now, just under $5. And let's just scroll down a little bit more. Oh, there you go. There's Thunder Gold, $6.50. Now, you might sit there and say, oh, did they just instantly go up in price? No. No. Looking at Thunder Gold, for example, let me just get this point across. Initially, it was just kind of there. It was somewhat stagnant, and it still suffered when times were bad. But eventually, as time has gone on, it has been appreciated. It has been doing quite all right. So yeah, post-Christmas, people looking around for a nice cheap white AK-47. You can clearly see that. So I'm pretty sure eventually the optimized AK-47 will get that boost as well. I am kind of hoping, but I do feel confident with the fact that that also has a transparent aim sight. I think it's going to be going places. I just have to be patient. Did you happen to buy any of these? What are your thoughts currently? Now, with the Apotheosis of War garage door, I have bought a few of my buy order, and I did remove my buy order because, yeah, this actually dropped down quite a fair bit. So, as I said, I had a bit of a funny sort of smell, a hunch. I suddenly became not so confident with this. The fact that it just kind of didn't really go all the way up to 30,000 subscribers, it just kind of made me think, you know what? Maybe this isn't as in demand as I was thinking. And as I said, the acceptances for Apotheosis of War, they are quite sporadic. Let's just quickly make a point that since we saw this being accepted, we've only seen the electric furnace and the fridge. Whilst in terms of attempts, in terms of interesting skins being posted, I've seen a few attempts for the sheet metal double door. I've seen an attempt for an armored door. Like, why aren't they being accepted? What's wrong with them? I'm not sure. But I kind of get the feeling Face Punch doesn't really want to accept too much of this. Uh-oh. So yeah, with the fridge being accepted, we did see this by command spike in price. That actually did happen. So that rose up quite nicely. But what with the recent electric furnace, it's still kind of trending downwards. I have noticed that a lot of skins in general have been trending downwards as of recent, like towards the very end of June. It doesn't feel like everything's crashing and burning. I just feel like things are just kind of stagnant for the meantime. But once we hit July 4th swipe, I think things will just light up again and it should just turn around and work out very nicely eventually. So let's just endure another week of this. And I feel like the fire will return, the passion will be back, and people will appreciate skins like this again. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on it. I will have to make more videos, talk about the summer of 2026, talk about the progress, the momentum, blah, 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 blah. So, okay, you're not too bad. You have dropped off a fair bit, but honestly, with the amount that's sold, over 27,000, with the amount that are listed, it's honestly not that bad. It could be worse. Oh, it could be so much worse. Popstar Sheep in the Door, I was saying lots of positive things. I was going in strong. I offered between $2 to $2.50. I bought 50 of them. Well, that was pretty smart, Hedge, because that is now sitting here very comfortably over $4. Now, literally today, I actually posted a special video talking about Popstar Collection. So let's just quickly switch over to here. Let's look at the main YouTube. Ta-da! Popstar Summer 2026. I kind of just basically talk about anime skins in general. but Popstar was heavily talked about. That sheet in the door, I did a nice little comparison with Hazma. They're actually around the same price, but Hazma has about double the amount of listings. So the fact that it sold like not too ridiculously definitely made it look a lot more interesting. But I think we've seen this get a few more sales today, probably because of my video, because that wasn't that high in price earlier. No, or at least yesterday. So honestly, Popstar Summer 2026, what else are we going to see? What else could we have? At the moment, we're looking forward to the potential of a hammer skin, and we're also expecting an armored door and a metal shop front. So with more Popstar on the way, surely there could be a lot more positivity. And, you know, we should point out, since 2 months have passed, we've seen a pump shotgun, a backpack, a very cool looking electric furnace, and an auto turret. The momentum is still here. It's still going strong. So there's a reason why that's doing very good at the moment. Superb investment. Could it do better later down the line? More specifically, could it do as good as the Garage Door? Garage Door did go over 27,000 subscribers over a year ago. That has been greatly appreciating all the newest additions. I certainly hope we reach up to that sort of point. I wouldn't mind selling them for a lovely bit of profit. Alright, cool. So, yep, you are stupendous. You are amazing. Fish roadside gloves, well, and boots. Yeah, they just basically matched up to expectation. I was doing tons upon tons upon tons upon tons of comparisons, showcasing it next to like Cell roadside gloves, showcasing it with like Reptile Hunter tactical gloves and whatnot. But with what we see here, it's not exactly super insanely profitable, but it's definitely maintaining that price. But unfortunately, other people exist. This probably could have gone up even higher. It probably could have pushed all the way up to $2, but other people exist. Oh yes, I'm going to decide to only make 10 pennies profit on this skin, and I'm going to dump everything at the same time. I'm a very clever individual, aren't I? They are the bane of my existence. So, hey, let's hope as we go through July and August that this all gets wiped out and it rises up ever so nicely. My expectation was that it was going to eventually rise up to about $1.50. That would be profitable, but it wouldn't be insanely profitable. I feel like I'd have to hold on to mine for a little bit longer, and then eventually I'd sell them, and I think I'll get better profit if I wait like another year or so. So that might be a bit of a weight hedge. Yeah, but I'm not concerned about it. I'm still positive. Boots are basically the same. It sold not as much, of course, but they also don't have as much investment. They don't have as much support. So, yeah, this is like barely over its rust or price. You can't sell this for a profit if you bought it for 99 cents. Not possible. So, alright, you know what? With the support it has, it's not going anywhere. Here's hoping this does eventually also get bought out. People appreciate both of these pieces. And then eventually, as time goes on, it does work out. So, alright, cool. Yeah, well, we'll see what becomes with that. Who knows? Could we eventually see the hoodie and pants, the tier 2, or the... No, well, actually, we do have tier 2. I meant to say tier 3. We'll see. Barbecue was interesting. I was basically asking Silver Spooks, please give it a good look, test it out, try it out. Seems it didn't really matter that much with the transparency there. Hey, it's still cool. Like, compare this with all the other barbecues. This is only slightly down in price. Quite a lot of these have actually kind of suffered pretty badly. So, not the worst performing one. But what happens when we see another barbecue like this? Another barbecue skin like this. Like, it has been made. There are other options out there. But they haven't been accepted. Yet. Perhaps you're going to be the only one that looks like this for the foreseeable future. I'm fine with that. I'm not going to complain. But I was right to go with a lower price buy order. It's just I went too low. I suggested going only up to $1.50. This right now, it's only $2.70. But you never know how bad things could be once we hit rock bottom. October 2026. How bad is it going to be? Guess we're just going to have to wait and see, aren't we? Got to wait a little bit longer. Just a few more months, Hedge. Just a few more months. So basically, after the summer peaks, how bad could all these things end up at? We've got to wait and see. HellCore hoodie and pants? Oh, well, let me just point out. We were hoping and hoping and hoping for that tier 3, because, as I said, we did see the tier 3 on the workshop as we did the abnormal barders. We saw the bandana and the poncho being accepted before it. It took until Complete the Sets 2026 for us to finally get the tier 3. And funnily enough, the tier 3 did sell more in comparison to the hoodie and pants. Hoodie and pants are just comfortably in the positive right now. They did prove to be a very nice investment, and they were getting close to $4 each at one point. Well, obviously they're still not like that anymore, are they? So, but we are hoping for a new attempt for the tier 2. Honestly, even HellCore hide shirt and pants probably would still give that a boost. We'll see what happens. But yes, I'm still hoping for some boots and gloves, some tier 2 again. I won't be surprised if it does eventually fully complete itself. I know for a fact the hoodie and pants would be on top with a very high price. Hopefully. So, yep, you worked out wonderfully. I was expecting the collection continuations. We got primitive, we got core pieces, and we got a jacket. Let's see what becomes of the jacket. So, yeah, you were pretty sweet. Still hoping for it to be fully complete. Mecha Axe, I didn't have that much faith. Yeah, you dropped off, didn't you? Yeah. Sorry to say such a thing, but I'm still under the impression, as we see more and more salvaged axes being paired up with salvaged ice picks, inevitably with more options that are proper pairings, the skins, things like this that are independent would just suffer and eventually go down in price. And yeah, with a 60 cent to 80 cent barter, it was the smart way to go about it. So, alright, well, is what it is. Who knows if we see a salvaged ice pick eventually in the future. Training crossbow, I didn't fully trust it. Wasn't feeling it, wasn't super confident. I suggested 80 cents to $1.20 if I can recall. And, well, honestly, with how it's positioned at the moment, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. But it could get worse eventually as we go through October time. But we're expecting summer peaks before that. So maybe it bounces up a fair bit. It does have like a very little tiny bit of transparency, but it's not really much to talk about. I know some people might mention it or bring it up, but I did test it out like in comparison to Stinger, and it just didn't really compare. So, okay, cool, understandable. So, it's just a basic crossbow. Not to sound mean, but it is. So, all right, cool. Brutalist base box. You just dropped down a price like the other boxes, didn't you? Yeah, it's matching up to how these have performed. So, I was unsure, I wasn't confident, and that was a good reason. Yeah, so that worked out all right. I have Sahara bow. Well, I questioned you. I thought about you. I suggested going up to $1.50. I removed that barter because it did go below that. Seems people don't actually care about transparency in bows, or rather, with so many of them being accepted as of recent, it's no longer that special anymore. Huh. Well then, I mean, yeah. I mean, there were attempts for a sequel and whatnot. It just didn't happen. Okay. Not sure what else to say. But, yeah. Maybe transparency in hunting bows just isn't really that impressive anymore. And then we have the Nuke Vibe Jackhammer. Again, are you a fan of Nuke Vibe collection? Do you like its style? Do you like its approach? Its eerie, scary looking appearance? Or are you just looking at it and thinking, whatever? I can't confirm to you it went down more than half its price. I suggested $1 to $1.50. I bought a few, I removed the barter. Yeah, again, we just saw so many jackhammers being accepted so far this year up to this point. We didn't see any more afterwards. But it's a combination of, we've already got plenty of options. The collection itself isn't in demand. It just wasn't a very good result, was it? No. So I was wrong there. I was too high of a price with my barter suggestion. So in regards to too high of a price, that was too high. That was too high. That was too low. To be honest with you, the things I was more confident in, I feel like I got it right. But then with the things I just didn't really care that much for, I got it quite wrong. So, yeah, I wasn't perfect this week. You might sit there and say, Hedge, I feel like you've done a pretty bad job with this one. No. I feel like this is still something that you got to sit on for a bit longer, and then eventually it'll flourish. So, that's my opinion, though. You can offer yours, you can comment below. You get the idea. So, alright then, overall, it was a very cool looking Rustor. There were some very nice looking skins, and yes, some of them have worked out a-okay. Unfortunately, not all of them, but once again, July and August, as we go through it, I'm only expecting lots of positivity. So, alright, cool. How about we go ahead and have a nice little preview for the May 4 Swipe Rustor. That was May 7, 2026. And with that, we saw the arrival of the Crypt Building skin. And the electric furnace becoming skinnable. So yeah, we got quite an interesting discussion in regards to that electric furnace. Maybe it sold just a little bit too much. Crypt door, to pair up with the Crypt Building skin. Did it work out? Did the gimmick hold up? We had a very cool looking Salvaged Axe. What, am I suddenly like changing my tune? Do I actually like Salvaged Axes now? What gives? Another Popstar skin. Although, is it the worst performing one? Oh, a black, a black SKS. Yes, you might recall the training one and the limited edition training one, but that was a nice, affordable Pirate SKS. Pirate collection's in demand, so would that hold up? A satchel charge skin? Oh, I've seen everything. Another base box? Okay. Another new vibe skin? I'm sure. A concrete barricade and a barbecue. So, yeah, it was fine. I would rate this Rustore better. So maybe I'll have to mention it again next week when I talk about that Rustore. Lots of skins, lots of interesting collection continuations. Quite the contrast with the Rustore that appeared after it. Alright, cool. So that's pretty much everything. Did you pick up anything straight from the Rustore? Did you pick up anything with a barter? Are you satisfied with how things are at the moment? Do you feel confident that things could get a whole lot better over the course of the next several weeks? Prepare for such a thing, and don't forget, October, it does get closer and closer. I know we want to go through the good times first of all, but don't forget, bad times are ahead of us. Be prepared, okay? Be prepared. And so that, thank you very much for watching me. I greatly appreciate it. Catch you later. Say goodbye.